ADR. Promoting dialogue. It's midday in Dakar, 1 o'clock in Lagos. Good afternoon and welcome to Newslink on West Africa, the Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world at wadr.org. Coming up in the news, Senegal suspends extradition agreement with France over failure to respond to Dakar's requests.
Between 2024 and 2025, Senegal received 19 extradition requests from France. Out of these, 3 individuals were extradited.
ECOWAS Council of Ministers endorses President Mahamad's candidacy for AU Chairmanship 2027. A new coalition in Niger calls for unconditional release of ousted President Bazoum and his wife.
After 2.5 years of arbitrary detention of President Mohamed Bazoum, the time has come to draw the attention of the international community.
In Nigeria, lawmakers push back to President Tinubu's directive to withdraw police protection officers. Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
Here is Augustine Coley with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining our broadcast this afternoon. Newslink begins right here in Senegal, where the authorities have announced the suspension of extraditions to France. This is a reciprocal measure aimed at denouncing France's refusal to return 2 Senegalese nationals requested by Dakar. The decision comes even though an extradition agreement between the two countries is in force. Abdullahi Hassan reports.
The suspension of extradition to France by the Senegalese authorities was announced by the Minister of Justice. Addressing lawmakers at the National Assembly, Yassine Fall stated that Senegal has requested the return of 2 of its nationals from France, requests that Paris has not yet honored.
Between 2024 and 2025, Senegal received 19 extradition requests from France. Out of these, 3 individuals were extradited, while 4 were refused extradition. 10 others remain unextradited, primarily because 2 Senegalese nationals are still in France, and France has yet to return them. Senegal continues to press for the extradition. As a result, Senegal has decided to suspend all extraditions to France until it receives a response to these requests.
Among the individuals sought by Dakar is Majam Baljan. The journalist and businessman is subject to an international arrest warrant after being mentioned in a report by the National Financial Intelligence Processing Unit (CENTIF) of Senegal in connection with an alleged case of embezzlement of public funds and money laundering. Doro Guy is also under judicial scrutiny, cited in a case involving real estate fraud. For context, Dakar and Paris signed an extradition agreement on September 7, 2021 in France. The agreement provides a legal framework for bilateral judicial cooperation in criminal matters.
Abdullahi Hassan with that report. Still in Senegal, the Supreme Court has annulled the decrees issued by the Ministry of Communication concerning the publication of the list of media outlets deemed compliant with the country's press code. This decision follows a petition filed with the court by the Council of Broadcasters and Press Publishers of Senegal, CDEPS. The organization, which represents media owners across the country, had denounced what it called an abuse of power and a threat to press freedom, arguing that the Ministry of Communication was assuming the authority to determine which media companies were legal. Having won the case, CDEPS now plans to file a complaint against the Ministry of Communication. Let's listen to Mamadou Ibra Khan, president of CDEPS.
C'est une victoire éclatante.
It is a resounding victory for press freedom and for Senegalese democracy that the Supreme Court decided to annul 2 decrees issued by the Minister of Communication, which violated the law, namely the Constitution of Senegal and the Press Code. The first decree challenged was the one establishing an electronic platform for the registration of media outlets. The second decree deemed illegal was the one creating a validation commission for the registration of press companies. Both decrees were struck down and annulled by the Supreme Court for being unlawful and not in compliance with Senegalese law. Unfortunately, for the past 21st month, on the third political transition in Senegal, the new government has attempted to undermine the Senegalese press, and now they have been held accountable. Regarding our next step in this fight, we plan to take legal action against the Minister of Communication, arguing that he arbitrarily violated the law by refusing to allocate the support and development funds for the press, which were approved by the National Assembly in 2024 and 2025.
Mamadou Ibra Khan is president of CDEPS. Crossing over to the Gambia, the High Court has denied bail to former jungler operative Sana Manjan. The ruling came during Manjan's first appearance before the High Court following his arrest last month, ending 8 years of pursuit. Manjan faces 3 murder charges linked to some of the most notorious killings, including those of veteran journalist Deida Hadara, Gambian-American activist Alhaji Sise, and several West African migrants. The atrocities were committed during the Yaya Jammeh's era. WADR's Sandona Mendy in Banjul reports.
These charges, previously classified by the Magistrate Court as capital offences, placed Manjang's case at the center of the Gambia's transitional justice process. The case was transferred from the Magistrate Court, which had initially remanded him under the Criminal Procedure Act pending High Court arraignment. The High Court received the case file on December 4, 2025, with the hearing held within 7 days as expected under the 2022 Practice Direction for criminal cases transferred from lower courts. While the state has not yet filed a formal bill of indictment, the court ruled that Sana Manjang's detention is lawful and consistent with established procedures, thus denying him bail. However, the state has been ordered to file a formal bill of indictment by January 12, 2026, and Manjang is scheduled to enter his plea on January 15, 2026. Ahead of the arraignment, the court has granted his lawyer full access to prepare his defense. Sana Manjang's case is expected to serve as a key test of the country's commitment to addressing past human rights abuses. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, I am Sangdana Mendy, reporting from Banjul.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
We now cross over to the Central Sahel region, particularly Niger, where a new international coalition is calling for the release of former Nigerian President Mohamed Bazoum and was launched on Thursday. Composed of political figures, legal experts, academics, and human rights defenders, the group, referred to as the Friends of the former Nigerian president, condemns the conditions in which Bazoum and his wife have been held. Dr. Serine Bamba Gay is an international relations specialist and one of the members of the coalition.
After 2.5 years of arbitrary detention, friends, colleagues, and close associates of President Mohamed Bazoum have decided that the time has come today to draw the attention of the international community, particularly organizations such as the United Nations, the African Union, ECOWAS, and the European Union, to the particularly severe conditions of detention faced by Bazoum and his wife. They also want to highlight the violations of their rights, as they are being held without charges, have not been tried, and this is in direct contradiction with the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, as well as the full range of national and regional instruments that Niger has ratified. Therefore, his friends, colleagues, close associates, and above all, human rights defenders and prominent international figures from Africa, Europe, and the Americas believe that the time has come to raise our voices and take action. The aim is to exert full pressure on the Nigerian authorities so that President Bazoum and his wife can be released and restored to the best possible conditions.
Dr. Serine Bamba Gay is an international relations specialist Elsewhere, the Nigerian Senate has pushed back on the withdrawal of police protection officers assigned to lawmakers, warning that the move puts them at risk amid rising insecurity across the country. They are seeking special exemptions, even as President Bola Tinubu maintains that police personnel must be redeployed to frontline security duties. On November 23, the president ordered the redeployment of police officers assigned to VIPs to bolster internal security operations nationwide. From Abuja, WADR's Usma Umar reports.
Nigeria's escalating security crisis continues to strain state resources, prompting the federal government to redeploy police personnel from VIP protection back to frontline duties. However, on Thursday, federal lawmakers objected to the withdrawal, warning that the move leaves them exposed amid rising banditry, kidnapping and targeted attacks against high-profile personalities. The pushback was triggered by a point of order from Senator Abdul Ningi of Bauchi Central, who said his only police orderly has been withdrawn.
Like I said earlier, Mr. President, I have no problem, but let it be done across the board. I can take care of myself, but let me not see governors, ministers, and business concerns being covered by security establishment.
Outside the National Assembly, reactions are sharply mixed. Many Nigerians doubt the directive will be fully implemented, viewing it as yet another government statement without real consequences.
Like this now, you're going to withdraw Dangote's escort. You're going to withdraw, Akpabio, all of those people. Let's forget about this, our normal celebrities on a low key. That means you want to buy everybody now. You have to start with your son first, because he also go around with escorts.
You can imagine that one man go carry like 20 police just because one move from year to year. 20 police. Sometimes they carry soldier army. 20 police, they'll just line up, they go. Then now, things will happen for country. We're looking for men on duty. Most of them now, most of all these military people, they are praying to be posted to one of all those big men because I feel say it's more favorable for them.
The Senate Committee on Police Affairs will investigate what members describe as the brazen disregard of President Bola Tinubu's November 23 directive by some VIPs and report back within 4 weeks. Whether or not the Senate secures special exemptions, pressure continues to mount for the redeployment of security resources to frontline operations. Currently, around 11,000 police officers are assigned as escorts to politicians, business figures, and celebrities. Manpower, the presidency insists, is urgently needed to reinforce overstretched security units. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Usman Umar reporting from Abuja.
Meanwhile, the Ministers of Foreign Affairs of Nigeria and Benin met on Thursday in Abuja to review the circumstances surrounding Sunday's fuel coup attempt in Cotonou. Nigeria's Yusuf Tugal and his Beninese counterpart Olusegun Ajadi Bakar held talks on the sidelines of the ongoing 55th ECOWAS Mediation and Security Council. Addressing Nigeria's security challenges, Tugal noted that many threats of facing the country originate from outside its borders, highlighting the inevitable spillover effects of instability in either nation. This, he emphasized, requires a coordinated regional approach. For his part, Benin's Foreign Minister Ajadi Bakar expressed gratitude to Nigeria for its swift support after Benin requested ECOWAS intervention against the coup plotters without risking civilian lives. Bakar confirmed that the situation across the coastal country is now fully under control. In Guinea, the Education Union has suspended the strike that has crippled the country's school system since December 1, 2025. The government has swiftly resumed negotiations with union leaders in the bid to resolve the crisis, which has already resulted in 2 deaths and several injuries. Imo Edit has more in this report.
After several days of industrial action by Guinean teachers, a movement that brought schools across the country to a standstill, the education unions have announced the suspension of their strike. Their decision follows reports of death, injuries, and property damage in several schools, according to union spokesperson Abubakar Dasko Kamara.
In view of the decision approved by the Assembly, the FSP-SNU Education Inter-Union has decided to suspend the general strike that was launched on December 1, 2025 across the entire national territory. We take this opportunity to extend our deepest condolences to the bereaved family and we wish the injured a speedy recovery.
établissements aux blessés.
Despite the suspension, divisions persist within the union over whether the strike should have taken place. Pape Balamu, Secretary General of the SNE, highlighted ongoing disagreements between his organization and the Free Union of Teachers and Researchers of Guinea, SLEG.
All 10 of us agreed to withdraw the strike notice. However, the 4 SLEG representatives refused, insisting that the notice could not be lifted. We maintained that the majority must prevail and called for a vote, but they claimed there was nothing to vote on. When we returned to the room, the lawyers' delegation, led by its senior member, urged the union to accept the government's proposal. We firmly objected, saying this was not what had been agreed. At that point, it became clear to us that there was a serious lack of respect in the process.
Talks between the government and union representatives continued late into the night at the Ministry of Public Service. So far, no agreement has been reached. The teachers' strike is one of many social issues confronting professionals and citizens as the December 28 presidential elections approach.
Imo added with that report provided by WADR's Conakry correspondent Chanu Alpha Ibrahim Ambalde. You are listening to Newslink on West Africa, Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Here is a reminder of our top stories. Senegal suspends extradition agreement with France over failure to respond to Dakar's requests. A new coalition in Niger calls for unconditional release of ousted President Bazoum and his wife. In Nigeria, lawmakers push back on President Tinubu's directive to withdraw police protection officers. Still ahead, ECOWAS Council of Ministers endorses President Mahaman's candidacy for AU Chairmanship 2027. We also have guest interview and sports news. Please stay with us.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Many thanks for being with us. We are streaming live on YouTube at WADR and on Facebook, WADR English Service. Let's now take you to Monrovia, where concerned workers of the Liberia News Agency have petitioned the National Assembly, the General Auditing Commission, and the Liberian public about the agency's deteriorating state. The petition highlights the non-utilization of over $700,000 in budget allocations for the fiscal years 2024 and 2025, causing operational challenges. WADR's Monrovia correspondent Ibrahim Parker reports.
The petition by the Liberian News Agency is a component of the Ministry of Information designed to disseminate government messages, seeks clarification on the status of these funds. It also requests immediate intervention to ensure they are used for their purposes. These include restoring LINA's non-functional website, addressing logistical challenges, and supporting news gathering and dissemination activities. Dakar Colley is the spokesperson for the Workers' Union.
The Liberian News Agency, LINA, has for the past 2 years suffered serious stagnation due to the lack of resources for its management to run the affairs of the institution. Despite of budget allocations transferred of over $700,000 for LINA as contained in the 2024-2025 national budget, there has been limited utilization or impact of these funds.
The workers are also calling for an audit by the General Auditing Commission into the expenditure of budgetary transfers to LINA for 2024 and 2025.
LINA is the only news agency in the African region, probably in the world, with lack of essential equipment, training, and welfare support. We appeal to the senators and representatives to please help us find answers as to what happened to LINA's 2024 and 2025 budget allocations.
Staff of the Liberian News Agency appealed to the Senate and the House of Representatives to order an investigation into the institution's 2024 and 2025 budget allocations totaling nearly $1 million United States dollars. For Newslink on WADR, Abraham Parker, Monrovia.
Meanwhile, the Ghanaian government has expressed appreciation for ECOWAS' unanimous support of President John Mahama's candidacy for the African Union chairmanship in 2027. This endorsement was made during the 95th ordinary session of the ECOWAS Council of Ministers, which took place on Thursday in Abuja. The recommendation, adopted on December 12, urges the authority of heads of state and government of ECOWAS to approve a declaration of support for the candidacy of the Republic of Ghana for the presidency of the African Union. The approval is expected to take place on Sunday at the West African Leaders Summit. The recommendation document highlights that the Republic of Ghana is an important ECOWAS member state and contributes to its international standing. It also reaffirms the organization's commitment to working together to support the candidacies of ECOWAS member states and international organizations, including the African Union, to ensure that ECOWAS interests continue to be promoted and protected.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
The guest interview segment focuses on Senegal-France relations as the diplomatic partnership continues to decline between the two countries. Just on Thursday, Senegalese authorities announced the suspension of extraditions to France. This is a reciprocal measure aimed at denouncing France's refusal to return two Senegalese nationals requested by Dakar. The decision comes even though as extradition agreement between the two countries is in force. To unpack the diplomatic implications of this latest decision between Senegal and France, we are joined by Professor Golgi Jeng, a geopolitical analyst who shares his perspective on the matter.
Well, I think this is a decision we expected from the government of Senegal after having received from the government of France new elements in order to justify the extradition of Mr. Diagne. And I believe that the government of Senegal believes that this is a diplomatic way of rejecting the request from Senegal. And this is the attitude the government has taken in order to say to the government of France that you have not accepted to extradite Mr. Diagne, and you're asking for more information, but we believe that the information we have given you is enough.
Now, from a governance perspective, what risks or benefits does Senegal face by refusing to extradite individuals to France until its own requests are honored?
Well, I think this is a unilateral decision, and I don't know whether international agreements work that way. I believe that they should have chosen another attitude. For example, accept to provide the documents requested by France if it is, demonstrated that enough documents have not been sent to France. But like that, unilaterally, breaking the agreement, I don't believe that this is internationally acceptable. And this is something I believe that can harm future relationship between Senegal and France, and even between Senegal and other countries, because other countries may believe that it is not, a reliable government. It's not a reliable government to deal with, to treat with.
What does this move tell us about the current state of Senegal and France relations?
Well, the relationships between Senegal and France haven't been good these last months, especially since the new government took over about 2 years ago. Senegal's government is talking about sovereignty, defending the interests of Senegal, and I believe that France believe that when Senegal says this, they are talking about France and not other countries, because so far it is France who has been accused of exploiting Senegal, of interfering with its interior affairs. So I believe that this is something that shows that the relationship between the two countries are not good because of the new attitude adopted by the new government, that is to say, laying emphasis on more sovereignty for Senegal vis-a-vis France.
Before I let you go, what mechanisms or diplomatic channels are available to both governments to resolve this impasse, and what might be the likely short to medium-term outcomes if neither side shifts its position?
Well, I don't believe that we can have any, agreement between the two countries, because what is most important here is the attitude of the new government of Senegal, laying the emphasis on sovereignty, which I believe do not suit the French government. So maybe the relationships will worsen. That is what I believe in. The relationship cannot really improve positively because of the interests that are at stake. That is to say, France wanting to, defend its interests in Africa, in Senegal in particular, and Senegal wanting to defend its interests as a sovereign country. So I think that the what is looming behind the curtains is not that good as far as the relationship between the two countries are concerned.
Professor Golgi Jang is a geopolitical analyst. And in the world of sports, Nigeria coach Eric Shelley has named a formidable 28-man squad for the 2025 Total Energies CAF Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco, with star forwards Victor Osimhen and Demola Lookman heading the group starched with attacking firepower. The Super Eagles runners-up at the last AFCON opened their Group C campaign on 23rd December against Tanzania before facing Tunisia and Uganda as they aim to secure early qualification for the knockout rounds. With the top two progressing automatically and 4 of the 6 third-placed teams also advancing, Nigeria entered the competition as one of the favorites to reach the latter stages. Shell's squad reflects Nigeria's remarkable depth in attack. 9 forwards have been selected, including reigning African stars Osimhen of Galatasaray and Lookman of Atalanta. But there is no room for Bundesliga striker Victor Boniface, whose omission has drawn surprise, while new Wolves signing Tolu Arokodeli also misses out. Despite the abundance of attacking options, Fulham winger Samuel Chukwueze, who recently scored twice against Manchester City, secures his place. Paul Onuachu, Moses Salmon, Syria Dezels, and Chidera Ejuke helped to form one of the most potent front lines in the competition. Nigeria's midfield features a blend of Premier League talent and rising European-based players. Fulham's Alex Awobi and Bramford's Frank Onyeka provide experience, while Wilfred Ndidi, Rafael Oyendika, and Fisayo Deli Bashiru strengthen the span of Shell's team. In the defense, Calvin Bassey, Semi Ajayi, Bright Osayi Samuel, and Zaidu Sanusi return, joined by emerging Blackburn fullback Ran Alibiosu. First choice goalkeeper Stanley Wabali, currently sidelined at Chipa United, has been picked and is expected to return during the group stage. He is joined by Francis Yuzoho and Amas Obasogi. Those are the latest so far in the world of sports. With that, we've come to the end of this edition of Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and special thanks to Ismaila Kamara and Mustafa Sek for the technical support. Do interact with us via our social media platforms, X, Instagram at WADR English, and on Facebook, WADR English Service. We also stream live on WADR.org. At 1 o'clock, Alpha Abubakar will be here with the news in French, Info Chez vous. I am Augustine Cully. Good afternoon.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, Newmi FM 94.0,
Hilltop Radio 104.7 FM,
and Veritas Radio 102.9 in Banjul, the Gambia. We also appreciate our listeners in Liberia via Alternative Youth Radio 98.9 FM, Lofa County,
Radio Kagama 94.5 FM, Niba County, DCN Radio 91.3 FM, Riverside County. Wakat FM Radio, Banga, Liberia. Radio Gulf FM 91.3 Sierra Leone in Nigeria and Love 104.5 FM Abuja.
For you listening via Radio Pad 95.1 Damango, Savannah region, and on Royals FM 104.7 Wenchi, Ghana, we say a big thank you. Remember, West Africa Democracy Radio is all about you, your views, and your